February 8th, we had day 2 of the XXXTENTACION trial, which revealed many things about his passing that none of us even knew, as we even saw new surveillance footage of XXXTENTACION's entire day, including new camera angles at the Bank of America, the motorcycle shop, as well in the parking lot at Riva Motorsports. All of the information I'm about to share is from one of the 4 men involved in X's passing. This suspect's name is Robert Allen, as he is one of the 4 suspects in this case, although he did end up snitching on the other 3 men named Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, and Trayvon Newsom. With Robert snitching in the courtroom, it gave us a perspective on X's passing from somebody within 5 feet from it happening. Now on June 18th, 2018, XXXTENTACION's day started with him hopping in his custom all-black BMW i8 and heading over to Riva Motorsports, where he was looking for a new motorcycle to purchase. Once the Florida rapper found one that he liked, he asked how much the purchase price was for the motorcycle before heading over to the Bank of America to get the funds. Now later on in that day, XXXTENTACION arrives to the Bank of America. He then asks for $250,000 cash, but the teller is only allowed to give out 50 grand. He grabs the $50,000, he stuffs it in his Louis Vuitton pullover bag, and begins heading over back to Riva. Although yesterday in the courtroom, this new footage of XXXTENTACION getting the cash from the bank was released. If you're a fan of XXXTENTACION, leave a like on the video. I'm curious how many fans are watching today. Now also in the courtroom, this statement was released regarding the bank teller. Cecilia Ramos, the bank teller, was working at Bank of America the day sadly X passed away. You see him smile and talk with the teller. He came into the bank, he wanted to withdraw $250,000, but the bank does not keep that kind of cash on hand. She gave him $50K and ordered the rest for a later date. With XXXTENTACION getting the $50,000 in cash, he then heads over back to Riva Motorsports. While on the way to Riva Motorsports, the 4 suspects end up locating X hopping into his BMW and driving. The 4 suspects obviously then say, "Hey, that's XXXTENTACION," and they start tailing his vehicle. They notice X pulling into the parking lot at Riva. With X's car sitting in park for roughly 2 minutes, we then saw 2 men that were suspects hop out of their vehicle to watch X from a distance. Keeping an eye on him and making sure he doesn't go anywhere, we then saw XXXTENTACION enter Riva Motorsports, with these 2 men then following behind him. The other 2 suspects are still located in their vehicle, and they quickly turn across the street, sit in park, and watch from afar. As Robert Allen today snitching, he said that the 2 men in the vehicle were trying to get out of the way of the security cameras for the crime. With XXXTENTACION as well as his uncle walking around on the inside of Riva looking at motorcycles and one to purchase, the 2 men were just watching him from afar inside of the store. But this is where they notice that this store also sells ski masks and gloves. So the 2 suspects then go and purchase 2 sets of ski masks as well as gloves on the inside. Many people were not aware of that. Now here's surveillance photos of them entering the shop with X. The craziest part is, while X is looking at motorcycles, he makes eye contact with one of the suspects. Today in the courtroom, this new exclusive never-before-seen footage was released of X inside of the motorcycle shop for the final time. Now that was the last footage we ever had of XXXTENTACION. As we watched X leave the motorcycle shop, he was still wearing his Louis Vuitton pullover bag, and he even had all of the cash still in it. X is then seen hopping into his BMW, and while trying to exit the one-way parking lot, a minivan pulls up in front of X, blocking him from leaving. Two of the men hop out of the vehicle to each side of XXXTENTACION's car, holding firearms, demanding him to roll down his windows and hand over the bag of cash, as well as his diamond chain. It was at this moment where X's uncle, he is seen actually opening his butterfly door of the vehicle and sprinting away on foot, leaving X literally all by himself in this situation. Now, during this moment, X was refusing to give over the bag and chain. This made the men very angry. A small brawl ends up breaking out through a window of this vehicle, and then we all kind of know what happened after that. Now, today in the courtroom, it was revealed, and I quote, "Prosecutor says Dedrick Williams was driving and cut off the car being driven by XXXTENTACION. Michael Boatwright and Trayvon Newsom put on the ski masks and had the firearms. The passenger manages to run away. They approach X, and Boatwright does the act towards him." Now, all of this information was revealed today during trial by Robert Allen, but Allen also mentioned one thing that none of us knew. He shared how the $50,000 worth of cash was split between the four suspects. Now, Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, and Trayvon Newsom, the three that are not snitching and taking this to trial, unlike Robert, all got $15,000 each. Now, this means that Robert, he was only given $5,000. Now, this is very interesting, as the man that was paid the least amount is the one snitching in the end, which honestly, I'm happy about. Get these other three in prison for life. The XXXTENTACION trial is currently split, however, into two different ways. The prosecutors are making the claim that Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, and Trayvon Newsom are responsible for X's passing, but the suspects' lawyers, however, are trying to make the claim that Toronto rapper Drake, as well as the Migos, are responsible. As their defense attorney in the courtroom, he had this to say about Drake and the Migos on the first day of trial.
Before X, he said, if any, it's Drake. And do you think that for one moment, here today, days after the event, two masked men, right? He came on social media and said, guys, if anybody is Drake, do you think in that time span that they went and they addressed him, they talked to him? No. Do you think sitting here today, years later, any detective has ever asked, Drake or anybody like that? No, they never did that. So you ask yourself, how could that be? And you say, hey, it's so-and-so, you better believe so-and-so is going to get investigated. But in this case, they didn't do it. They didn't do it because it didn't comport with their version and their narrative. And as law enforcement, I think that they have the obligation to do so.
The defense attorney states, and I quote, XXXTENTACION said, "If I were to pass, then Drake did it." This was during an Instagram live stream, then later even posted on his Instagram story, where he posted, "If anyone tries to get me, it was at Champagne Poppy, aka Drake. I'm snitching right now." Now, the famous beef between XXXTENTACION and Drake started with X making a tweet stating, "Drake's mom is kinda cute." Now, a few days later, X was then arrested for some charges that are personal. While X was arrested, his hit song Look At Me went viral online in a huge way. Something many of us have actually never seen before. It was that crazy. Drake noticed it, and he then released a song titled KMT, stealing the exact flow, speed, and even a similar beat of X's song. Once XXXTENTACION was later released from jail, after beating his charges, he went straight after Drake on an interview, starting a massive beef online. This helped X's music career skyrocket even more. After X sadly passed away, however, Drake released a song with these lyrics. "Maybe I should do a 20, maybe I should break that 20, do a 10. Maybe I should break that 10, do a 5, then if it gets live, do a 5 again. If he held his tongue on that live, he'd be alive again. Damn." Now, obviously these lyrics are for entertainment and could be even directed at anyone, but when you actually break down those lyrics, it's kind of concerning. Let me explain. You break a 20, you get two 10s. then do a 5. If it gets live, then do a 5 again. 5 plus 5 is 10. This then leaves you with 3 sets of the number 10. In Roman numerals, 3 10s is otherwise known as 3 X's. Then Drake even said at the end of the lyrics, if he held his tongue on that live, he would be alive. Now on the Instagram Live, this is where XXXTENTACION made statements about Drake and his mom as shared earlier in the video. This is also the Instagram Live that started the beef between these two rappers. But we also learned in the courtroom today that X was not alone in his vehicle. X's half-uncle was inside the BMW i8 when X's car was cut off from the road. Once the car was cut off on the road, however, and the two men ran up on X, the uncle was gone. He lifted up his butterfly door and started sprinting away, leaving XXXTENTACION by himself with these two masked men. His uncle then began starting to call his mom, saying there was something going down. And we also learned the 4 individuals who did this were arrested very quickly. It only took law enforcement a month to catch all 4 of these men. All 4 of them, however, as well, were trying to hide the absolute best they could. One of them went into the middle of nowhere as well. Now, Dedrick Williams was charged with first degree and even tried applying for bail, which was obviously denied. Williams also ended up pleading non-guilty in this case, meaning he's taking it to trial right now to try to prove that he is not guilty, which he's on camera following him for hours. Michael Boatwright, he was taken in for the exact same charge as Williams. He's yet to plead guilty or not at this moment. The third man, Robert Allen, he is the man that is currently snitching. He was found at his sister's house in the literal middle of nowhere in Georgia. Allegedly, this was so far from the regular public, there is no internet. He was booked in Dodge County, and he's currently being locked up right now, waiting out the trial to see his charge. Now, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the trial. I make daily videos keeping you updated. It's been District Trending, and I'm out. Peace.